spot on. It's like, I do think we undervalue supporting cast.
Mm-hmm.
There, in any given era of football, Scott, there's probably one or two quarterbacks that can transcend bad situations. Like, we just came out of an era where we had Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes as the top guys, and then before that it was Brady and Breeze, Brady and Rodgers. Well, like right now in the NFL, how many quarterbacks in the league right now can transcend bad circumstances? Like, maybe Josh Allen is doing it in Buffalo, and then you have Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, but guess what? He didn't overcome much this year. It's like, that's a rare trait. So like, we have absolutely undervalued offensive line play and coaching and play calling and wide receiver rooms and skill players and complementary football, defensive performances as well. There's very few guys that can transcend that stuff.
What?
Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.
Yo, what's going on? You're listening to the School of Scott. If you are listening to this podcast, you are probably either a degenerate or you are a fantasy football champion, still riding high from your sweet, sweet victory and can't get enough. So you're listening to a fantasy football podcast when fantasy football season's over. A lot of Fantasy Point subscribers won their championship, sending me DMs, pictures of themselves with the trophy, screenshots of their bad beatdown, blowout victory, etc. But to those who didn't win, I want to let you know this is the game that we love, and she is a cruel and fickle mistress. You love her. Sometimes she doesn't love you back, but when she does, oh boy, is it so sweet. And so next year is our year. Make sure you're listening to the School of Scott. Make sure you're a Fantasy Point subscriber, taking advantage of our early bird special. Cheapest price will be all year for a subscription. That's good. Starting now all the way through till March 2027. Crazy deal. Today we've got Brett Whitefield on. We're going to bro out. We're going to talk some good stuff. If you're looking for a lessons learned podcast, I'm going to do that with Ryan in a couple of weeks. If you're looking for a way too early 2026 rankings podcast, I'm going to do that with Theo in a couple of weeks. But today I have on the great Brett Whitefield, best film expert I know. And I have a bunch of topics here. But first, Brett, how are you doing? What's going on? You're a championship winner. I am a championship loser. What's going on?
Yeah, you're a loser at the hand of myself. I slayed the dragon. You right. And our friend Joe Pano had a monster team. I think you guys had the weekly high scoring in like 7 weeks this year or something.
Yeah,
it was insane. And my team's been, so I took over this team. It was an orphan team, and after the 2022 season, it was a disaster. I sold all my pieces, came back quickly though. We went to the finals and lost, and now we got it done this year, slaying the dragon. Your team though is going to be good for a while. My team might be on the way out. We'll see.
I have a juggernaut. Yeah, I've been the top scorer and the first place regular season team in 4 of 6 years, and I've never won the championship. I've always just gotten really unlucky in the playoffs. You offered to split the winnings with me, and I said no, and my justification was it's just more fun this way. Either I get a larger payout or I lose, and it's like a pride before the fall thing, and your victory becomes all the sweeter because you extended your hand and I slapped that hand away.
Yeah, it's a gentleman thing I do in any league I'm in. If I know the owner at all, I offer a split, even if I'm favored by a lot. And I actually was favored to win, even though I don't understand how the MFL projections work, because I went off Chris's math, and I think Chris had you winning by like 20.
Yeah. It's just they have bad projections. We have really good projections. Shout out Chris Weck. Shout out fantasypoints.com. So like I said, I mean, you and I, we kind of talk on the phone constantly. We could just bro out about football for hours and hours. I've got a few questions here. Some you have to address, you have to discuss.
Okay.
Some dubs, some L's. But I thought this was the most compelling, most interesting question, and it comes from our own Nick Spinola at Football Insights on Twitter, one of the best chart guys, data guys. What are your thoughts on Grandpa Phil? Literal grandfather Phil, old man Rivers, Phillip Rivers coming back from like what, a 5-year layoff in his mid 40s and is playing really good football. And he's playing better football, a literal grandfather in his 40s, than a lot of starting quarterbacks in the NFL, particularly these young guys. And
Sure.
what do you think this is? Clearly does not have the raw natural talent at this, stage of his career. Not able to really move in the pocket at all. Arm strength isn't what it once was. And yet he kind of looks pretty good out there. I mean, is he better than Anthony Richardson was last year? Yes.
He's better than a lot of quarterbacks were this year. Right. This is a multifold thing. So let's try to focus this in our sights on one major topic. And I think this is great because we're going to be talking about some other quarterbacks. I think you didn't really give me any time to prepare for this, but that's okay. So like Phillip Rivers, 44 years old, played ball at a high level for a long time. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback, in my opinion. There's a professional element to playing quarterback that experience does matter. It's the one position in the league that's probably not a young man's position. And there's something that happens with development. Shoot, we even saw it with Matthew Stafford, right? Matthew Stafford in Detroit was this gunslinger, turnover machine, chaos merchant that just invited just disaster into his life on nearly every snap. But he would go make some ridiculous throws to Calvin Johnson that just you saw the raw talent. Then he goes to LA with Sean McVay. And at 38 years old, Matthew Stafford is still getting better at the quarterback position. And it's totally a mental game. And I think what you're seeing now more than ever is the quarterback position in the NFL is so far detached from the quarterback position in college that it just takes guys way longer than it used to reach that pinnacle. And, I think 30 years old is like, that's probably when you start seeing guys play good quarterback now. It's, I mean, there's obviously outliers. Like Patrick Mahomes has been good since day one, but I think that's the reality of the situation. Just the NFL is so different in every way, shape, or form that there's such a mental acuity needed to be a good quarterback in the NFL. It just does not happen for guys for a long time.
So what is that mental acuity that is needed? Is it diagnosing coverages pre-snap, post-snap?
Yeah, you have to everything you do in the NFL is different than college. You have to completely learn the game in a new way. The pass concepts are different because of wide hashes, because of up-tempo offenses. The screen game, the RPO game at college is way more profound in from a play calling standpoint. The flow of an offense is just entirely different at the NFL level. Defenses in the NFL are a lot better too. There's not as much space. Athletes in the NFL are way better. Like think about Lamar Jackson. Like he never played a single guy in college that was a defensive lineman that could catch him in the run game. Well, every defensive end in the NFL is as athletic as Lamar Jackson is. And so it's just a totally different thing. And the coverages you see with the wide hashes too, like even the way you would attack quarters at the college level is different than at the NFL level. So you literally almost have to wipe the slate blank. And I think, the NFL's gotten caught with their hands in the cookie jar trying to identify the next Patrick Mahomes. They're just chasing these chaos merchant type quarterbacks that have all the raw tools, and they've kind of forgotten about, the Phillip Rivers and the Drew Brees and the Jared Goffs of the world, the Brock Purdy's of the world, that down for down, they just make the right play over and over and over. And that's way more valuable to me. Getting it right on 95% of the snaps is way more valuable to me than the 5% where you can go, do some impressive things with your arm or your legs.
Well, this is a new thing with the, prospect evaluation. That's actually an old thing Bill Parcells used to harp on is the value of experience for quarterbacks coming out with a Brock Purdy and a Tyler Shuck. No. This is actually a good thing. Yeah, I see that. I think, well, I get a question for you.
Yeah.
Tom Brady comes out of retirement tomorrow, is a top X quarterback in the NFL. Let's see how old he is. He's 48 years old. Is a top X, solve for X quarterback in the NFL.
I'd go top 15.
Yeah. Crazy. The experience, the intangibles, the everything that's not super physical. I mean, even with the physical attributes. But yeah, this is something you've talked about constantly, and it's a good segue into our next topic, is overrating of physical attributes, overrating wow plays, the rare plays that only a Patrick Mahomes, only a Caleb Williams and Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford can make, because it's overlooking the consistency of, the other 10 throws, missing a easy screen or throwing a bad interception, or even more than that, taking a sack in a crucial spot where you really couldn't take a sack. So two of my biggest misses, maybe two of your biggest misses, and I'm getting old tweets dug up and retweeted. This happened this morning. Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams. And so, yeah, I think this ties back into what we were saying with Phillip Rivers, where, maybe sucking ass as a rookie or early in your career for Trevor Lawrence, first 70 starts of his career isn't, struggling early isn't as much of a death knell as it is for wide receivers. Jared Goff was awful as a rookie, and then big improvements to the offensive line, the play caller. You're seeing this resurgence for a Sam Darnold, a Baker Mayfield, a Trevor Lawrence, Phillip Rivers coming back from the dead. So maybe this is a big lesson learned, is don't give up on quarterbacks too early. Maybe it's also quarterbacks, we overrate their importance or their impact and really underrate that of the supporting cast and the play caller. There's a number of different ways we can attack this. And I do want to hear if you think Lawrence and Caleb are magically good now. So you can start this off hanging on to any of those loose threads.
Yeah, you gave me a bunch to chew on there. I'll start with this. Like, I definitely think we live in a super reaction centric culture. We have to react to the newest information. And so I think, the NFL is a week to week league, and you can have a quarterback look really bad one week and then look like, Matthew Stafford threw 3 interceptions last night.
Yeah.
And they weren't good ones. He looked bad, he's still a top 5 quarterback in the league. We're not going to overreact to that. But I think when guys are younger and they don't have that established track record, it's really easy to label them a bust or to prematurely crown them. And we've done this several times now. Like CJ Stroud, prematurely crowned, had a pretty okay rookie season, got crowned as the next great QB, and has been relatively bad ever since then. Mm-hmm. But something I always say, and like, I'm Caleb Williams' biggest critic by far, but something I still always say about Caleb is the book is not written on him. And he's still a super young quarterback that had a bunch of bad habits coming out of college with like freakish repertoire of skills. So yeah, we got to give him time, man. And I think where the rubber meets the road for me is like, we got to stop paying these guys before they prove they can do it. And so it's not that I want to label guys, but it's like Trevor Lawrence has been making $55+ million a year for a couple years now. And he's had a 7-game stretch of good football. That's it. Jordan Love got paid before he ever proved he could do it. Brock Purdy probably makes a little bit too much money based on his skill set. You know what I mean? So like, I think that's the thing the NFL has to figure out. And it's like, from a team building standpoint, can we actually afford to live in this development world where our QB's kind of costing us, but we're still paying him $50+ million a year? And so I think that's kind of where we got to. I think the NFL will correct itself, especially with some of these reclamation projects. The Daniel Jones, Like Sam Darnold has not been good this year, but he's only making $30 million. He doesn't kill them from a salary standpoint. Brock Purdy's been outrageously good this year, but his contract's probably a little bloated. Dak Prescott, another guy making $60 million a year. From a skill set standpoint, he's not Caleb Williams. He's not Justin Herbert, but he's getting it done. So I think there's definitely some middle ground to be had with the contract side of it. And that, to me, that's where it gets dangerous, is when you're paying guys a bunch of money before you really know who they are.
So Trevor Lawrence, has he been good this whole time and we just missed it and he was held back by supporting cast?
No. Supporting cast.
They're trying to gaslight me. And
something you said earlier that, well, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just like, to me, it's like he struggled for, was incredibly inconsistent and below average for his first 70 career NFL starts, despite getting paid like a top 3 quarterback and having sort of that reputation the whole time. But something clicked these last 5-6 weeks, and he legitimately has really stepped up his game and looks like a different player. And I give a lot of credit to Liam Cohen. The offensive line has been good the whole time. Jacoby Myers was a key addition. BTJ has gotten more healthy. And so that's what it is to me. And like, let's not overlook Liam Cohen's history. Will Levis looked, was being talked about as, oh, he's a top 5 draft pick, this 1 year with Liam Cohen. Then he regresses after Liam Cohen leaves. And then, Baker Mayfield never finished top 15 in fantasy points per game, gets Liam Cohen, finishes, top 3. Obviously non-fantasy numbers look great as well. And, he was playing at the best level of his career. I think that's what, more or less happened with Trevor Lawrence, but like, he looks good now. And I'm willing to buy into this and treat it as real and like draft him and his receivers, highly because of it.
He looks good, but something you said earlier is spot on. Is like, I do think we undervalue supporting cast.
Mm-hmm.
There, in any given era of football, Scott, there's probably 1 or 2 quarterbacks that can transcend bad situations. Like, we just came out of an era where we had Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes as the top guys. And then before that, it was Brady and Breeze, Brady and Rodgers. Well, like right now in the NFL, how many quarterbacks in the league right now can transcend bad circumstances? Like, maybe Josh Allen is doing it in Buffalo and they still haven't won a chip. And then you have Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, but guess what? He didn't overcome much this year. It's like, that's a rare trait. So like, we have absolutely undervalued offensive line play and coaching and play calling and wide receiver rooms and skill players and complementary football, defensive performances as well. There's very few guys that can transcend that stuff. And like, there were years Brady didn't transcend it, and he's the greatest quarterback of all time. So
yeah, his last year in New England, everyone wrote him off as dead, except for my guy Ed Teach, who won millions of dollars betting on Buccaneers to win the Super Bowl. Because he didn't have any receivers. And you see this with Joe Burrow, who's really struggled in games without T. Higgins this year. Like you said, Patrick Mahomes, since Tyreek Hill has left, and like especially this year, it's just, I think outside of the elite quarterbacks, does the offensive line collectively matter more? That's 5 players.
Yeah, you might be right. I mean, look at Joe Burrow, dude. I think you and I both think he's the best quarterback in the league, and he hasn't been back to the playoffs since he went to the Super Bowl.
Right.
I mean, this is crazy. So, to tie a bow on the Liam Cohen thing, I think Liam Cohen absolutely, that to me, that's not an indictment on the quarterback either. A lot of people, they call him system QBs, or he needed things to go right for him to. I think that's perfectly fair. Trevor Lawrence needed a Liam Cohen in his life to reach his potential. And by the way, we're still only talking about 7 games and a 7-game stretch where he's looked really good, but it's like, there's a lot of quarterbacks in that stretch that have looked pretty good. So
Ryan and I do this article on the play callers every year, and it's really one of our most valuable pieces for ourselves, where we find under the radar players. But like, I always start off in the introduction talking about the importance of play callers from a real NFL standpoint. The most efficient rushing attack over the past 10 years is just Mike McDaniel running backs. And like, a lot of these are day 3, UDFA running backs. Only Devon Achane is, early drafted, and he's, I don't know,
Round 3.
he's
Round
like,
3.
first all time in career yards per carry or whatever. And then from a passing standpoint, since Mahomes came into the league, the Chiefs lead in EPA per dropback, but the team that ranks second is Kyle Shanahan's 49ers. And Brock Purdy, literal Mr. Irrelevant, but look at all the other quarterbacks. Jimmy Garoppolo, a backup, Brian Hoyer, a bunch of like absolute scrubs. You barely remember Nick Mullins and company. And so it's like, would you rather have, I don't know, any quarterback besides Josh, Joe, Pat, Lamar, or would you rather have Kyle Shanahan?
Oh, this is such a good. By the way, this is a perfect example of why EPA used on an individual level is such a hogwash stat. It is not an individual player statistic; it's a team statistic. It's a Kyle Shanahan statistic, is what it is. I mean, seriously,
No, it is.
It's Brock Purdy's the all-time leader in EPA per dropback. Scott, he's not the greatest quarterback of all time, so we got to stop using this as a quarterback metric. This is a team play caller metric. So
Kyle's the real GOAT, which is what I've always said.
Yeah, I think you're onto something here where it's like, well, let me throw this at you. Do you think there's something to the league where Tom Brady did it for so long, and in that era you had Peyton Manning, and then out of that you had Patrick Mahomes. Between these three guys, Scott, they account for like 15 of the last Super Bowls or something, or 15 of the last 17 or 18. It's something crazy like that. So do you think the NFL is kind of pigeonholed themselves into thinking they need ceiling play at quarterback because that's what recent history has told you need to win? You need to have a greatest of all time type player, because I think Peyton's every bit in that conversation as well as Brady and Mahomes. So like, I kind of feel like the NFL has definitely made active decisions we're chasing these elite traits and ceiling outcomes because recent history has said you have to have one of these guys. You have to have the best in the league to win. And maybe it's just a fluke because, those three guys are awesome.
Well, where would you rank Jalen Hurts? He's the 6th best quarterback in the NFL.
He's the hardest guy in the league to evaluate, Scott, because you could watch him one week and literally think this guy has no idea how to play football.
Yeah.
And then in big moments, I mean, honestly, Scott, 2 of the best Super Bowl performances from a quarterback I've ever seen.
Wow.
From Jalen Hurts. And in big moments in the playoffs.
Hey, Eli Manning's up there too,
Right. So it's like, I can't crap on Jalen Hurts. Like, coming into the season, I ranked him top 5 in the league. I ranked him ahead of Patrick Mahomes for this season. And then he's back to looking like he doesn't know how to play the game. So
this is, and that's another thing too, is that it fluctuates. There's volatility.
It's a week-to-week league, man.
Yeah. Week to week, season to season. But that's a team that, I don't think has an elite quarterback, a great quarterback, but has an unreal supporting cast. It doesn't even have like a great play caller or a great head coach either. By the way, the stat you had I have a tweet similar. If you're 24 years old, over half of the Super Bowls in your lifetime were won by these 4 quarterbacks: Tom Brady, Eli Manning, Patrick Mahomes, Ben Roethlisberger. And I think Ben and Eli only had 2 each, but a bunch of guys with A+ dad bods. So we're talking about the importance of play callers, and I don't know, there might be a new Shanahan. There might be like a super Shanahan. And that's Ben Johnson, who is not just a great play caller, but appears to be a hell of a coach. What an unreal turnaround for the Jacksonville Jaguars, for the Chicago Bears, for Caleb Williams. And so people are in my mentions. They're saying, maybe Caleb sucked last year, but he's elite this year. And if you don't see that, you're just an idiot. So what do you have to say about Caleb?
I don't know a single ball knower, like guy that I really trust, that knows football, watches football, that thinks Caleb Williams has been awesome this year.
Yeah.
I think he's been pretty bad still. And
Yeah.
Ben Johnson said it himself, Scott, coming out of a week 15, I think it was week 15 or week 16 game. Ben Johnson in the press conference after the game literally said, "We are winning despite our quarterback. We're winning despite our passing offense being inefficient. We're winning despite us not being where we want to be from a passing standpoint yet." The head coach himself said it. So
Yeah.
you can't keep coming at me because he's saying it himself. Now, I don't think he said that to throw Caleb under the bus necessarily, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that 2 + 2 = 4, and Caleb has not played that well. Has he made a handful of like ridiculous plays in big moments? Absolutely. I'll give him credit for that. He's probably the scariest quarterback right now to try to pursue and sack because he breaks the pocket with ease. He makes guys miss in the backfield, and he seems to be more accurate throwing downfield, even though the numbers aren't true. It just feels that way. It feels like all of his big plays are out of the pocket. But man, like you talk about Ben Johnson's impact. So a stat I love is like throws he schemes up 10 yards downfield that are open or wide open.
Mhm.
Caleb Williams has he leads the NFL in touchdowns on said throws, despite the fact that he is dead last in catchable ball rate on said throws. Sorry, not the two guys worse than him are Shedeur Sanders and Max Brosmer.
Yeah.
So like the accuracy is a major concern. He literally isn't just he's not missing hard throws, Scott. He's missing the easy throws, the wide open, schemed up throws that Ben's getting for him. I don't think it's wrong to criticize Caleb for. I think wins are the ultimate elixir, and the team's winning right now. They have 11 wins in the season, way more than they've had in any season recently. So I think it's easy to look at it and go, "Oh, Caleb's balling out. Statistically, he's pretty good." I'll give credit where credit's due. He's cleaned up the turnovers for sure. He's not taking sacks at the rate he was last year, but it's still somewhat variance to me. Like you still see a lot of bad process, good result type plays from Caleb. And I think eventually that can come back to bite him.
Yeah. So let me just say, I am so scared from a fantasy perspective. Like I might have to be really bullish on Caleb and the Bears because Ben Johnson's not right. I mean, not wrong. Caleb Williams is not playing well right now. The only quarterback who is less accurate than Caleb Williams by catchable throw rate, by a number of stats, is Shedeur Sanders. And in spite of that, look at all of the incredible production. Look at all these receivers. So there's just so much room for potential should everything come together. And that's what Ben Johnson's saying is like, we're not where we want to be. Imagine when, they are where they want to be. And Caleb has a little bit mobility, unlike Jared Goff. And you know what? Maybe the accuracy can come around because he was a historically bad sack eater. His pressure to sack ratio last year was one of the all-time worst. And then he really turned it. He's above average in sack avoidance this year. I think a lot of that is Ben Johnson and the GM so smart. First thing they did was like totally overhaul this offensive line where it went from bottom 10. It was probably like slightly below average. I think Bears fans kind of thought it was worse than it was, but now this is a great offensive line. And so that really cured that ill. And like when you do have Ben Johnson scheming guys wide open, like, yeah, your accuracy should be a lot better. So I could see him improving. And Ben Johnson just unreal GOAT. But yeah, this is, people are saying, you're wrong. He's so good. The wow plays are incredibly exciting. And he doesn't throw a lot of interceptions, but he is also running hot there. I think turnover-worthy throws are pretty high. Didn't you say something like he had 3 touchdowns on turnover-worthy throws, which is like insane?
He has 3 touchdowns on throws we deem turnover-worthy, where bounced off a defender into the hands of an offensive player or whatever. There was the one in the back of the end zone that went through a player's hands.
Yep.
Yeah,
Crazy.
So I mean, that's insane variant. The sack, there's some insane sack variants too there, Scott, where it's like he is still playing with fire. I mean, how many times a game do you see him having to juke guys out? He's 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage, run all over the place, and then he comes out of the scrum and delivers a ball downfield. I think he's objectively cleaned it up, but I do think there's some variance where, you get into a playoff setting against better teams. He's probably going to take a few more sacks than we've seen from him this year.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about a few more quarterbacks, and then we'll move to who we're picking to win the Super Bowl, which I think is an interesting conversation. But shout out to me and my Exodia quarterback. I am really running hot on my Exodia quarterback every year because Drake Maye is going to win MVP, and a number of our subscribers are going to win a lot of money. I saw some screenshots, $500 to win over $30,000 on Drake Maye to win MVP. He was 66 to 1 when my draft guide came out. I do not have any active Drake Maye MVP bets. I drove to Louisiana with my wife to bet because it's illegal in Texas, and I threw like $1,000 down on Travis Hunter at 300 to 1, and I forgot to bet the Exodia quarterback. That was just really stupid on my part. I say this all the time, and my wife hears it: is God doesn't want me to be rich, at least not yet. I think I don't know. I would buy like a really sexy sports car and total it and, break my hip or something. So, God doesn't want me to be poor, doesn't want me to be rich, but, shout out to everyone who had Drake Maye to win MVP. I talked to one of our subscribers who dropped Maye after week 1 because they read the everything report where I talked to you, and I'm like, I'm nervous about Drake Maye because film expert Brett Whitefield said the tape looked awful, and Brett would want you to pivot to Exodia runner-up Justin Herbert instead. So you were a Drake Maye skeptic.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I did run really hot. I was expecting sort of Josh Allen light rushing production from Drake Maye. He didn't need it. He just played at an elite level. And Josh McDaniels, I think, is another play caller who deserves his flowers. So why don't you give it to me straight on Drake Maye?
Yeah. Well, so that week after that week 1 game, remember that was against the Raiders.
And yeah, he by the way, that was his worst game all year, I think.
Yeah, the Raiders have won 2 games this season, Scott, and that was one of them.
Yeah.
And I think he took 4 horrendous sacks in that game, 2 that knocked him out of field goal range, and he had 4 turnover-worthy plays in that game.
Wow.
He had 1 pick, two that I believe were dropped or not caught, and then a fumble as well.
Literally his worst game by just about every stat.
Yeah, so I left that game for legitimately nervous because I wasn't super impressed with him as a rookie. Granted, I think he was better than I thought he would be. And then week 1, after that whole offseason of buildup against a really bad football team, he wet the bed. I was like, oh boy, this is not good. Since that moment, though, Drake Maye's been pretty awesome. And what's funny is I think you look at 2 quarterbacks in Caleb Williams and Drake Maye who from coming out of college, they had the same issues to me. Both chaos merchants that really just live in this kind of matador style quarterback. And they both were kind of inaccurate as well. Well, Caleb got a lot better with the chaos plays where he's not taking sacks, he's not turning the ball over. Drake Maye, on the other hand, has gotten very, very much better with his mechanics and his throwing and his accuracy. One of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league this year, Scott. I don't think anyone saw that coming. This is akin to when Josh Allen went from his rookie season. He was one of the least accurate quarterbacks ever to his second season where he really
not his second.
It wasn't his second? He turned it on?
No, it was probably his third.
I think he made a minor jump, though, right? Because they got John Brown and Cole Beasley in there who were separators. That really helped him. And then Stephon Diggs in year 3. I think that's what really did it for Josh. But point being, the accuracy thing, that's kind of an outlier. Like, you don't see guys make that big of a leap in 1 year. He's been fantastic throwing the ball. Now, he's still doing some of the things I hate. I think he leads in our charted sacks taken. Yeah. Most sacks taken in the NFL that we've attributed to the quarterback. So most sacks taken that we call his fault, basically. But other than that, he's top 5 in basically every metric we have.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of how he plays. There's that. Go ahead.
He's got some good turnover variance too. Like, I think his turnover worthy throw rate's still not great, 3.3% or something. And it's a lot of
which is about twice his interception ratio for the rate.
There you go.
All right. Well, what about, we got a few more quarterbacks. What about JJ McCarthy? We were very high on JJ McCarthy.
Still am.
And this Vikings collapse is sort of mind-boggling. Just how awful.
Collapse.
Nick Mullins.
They've won 4 games in a row.
Nick Mullins started 3 games, 2 years ago and had 300 yards in all 3, and I think 380 yards in 2 of them. And JJ McCarthy can't get Justin Jefferson 3 catches in a game.
Well, that's a whole. Don't bring Jefferson into this. That's a whole sidebar I don't even want to get into right now. But
we should get into it. I think many listeners don't want to hear it, but I think those that do are going to appreciate it.
All right, we'll at least table it for a second so I can get into the McCarthy thing. So let's do this. We've talked about how Trevor Lawrence has been really good the last 7 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that is wins and losses related, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the same 7-week sample and attribute it to JJ McCarthy, Lawrence is actually right there with JJ McCarthy in pretty much every metric. Catchable ball rate is almost identical. Accurate throw rate. McCarthy has a higher accurate throw rate than Lawrence. Almost identical catchable ball rate. McCarthy leads the NFL in hero throw rate over that span. His turnover worthy throw rate is,
I'm sure, is awful.
It's not great, but it's under, what guy we just talked about, Drake Maye. It's down at 2.7%. It's actually in that span, it's 13th in the NFL.
Wow.
12th if you take out Davis Mills, who's only played 2 games in that stretch. So
yeah, and I want to say Trevor Lawrence has made some really impressive throws over this span, but again, like, that's not always as important as the consistency, the picking up the first down on a 3rd and 8, throwing it 12 yards through the air. Yeah. JJ McCarthy has made a number of plays that were dropped, that were caught, that should have been caught. And there's a lot of them. And also when we're talking about Trevor Lawrence, a lot of this, I think, is the Liam Cohen thing that we were so excited about from a fantasy perspective. Is over this hot streak, the Jaguars are the 2nd most pass-heavy team inside the red zone. They'd easily be number 1 if you take away QB runs. But then that's another thing is, Trevor Lawrence has 4 rushing touchdowns over the last. So like, quarterbacks being greedy with Liam Cohen is a thing that's great for fantasy. The sort of stat padding that you want to see. And then it's also, Trevor Lawrence had 3 passing touchdowns a couple of weeks ago, throwing to Travis Etienne, where Etienne did a lot of the dirty work, gaining yak and whatnot. So like, people are going to point to adjusted net yards per attempt, passer rating, EPA per dropback. This is what we were saying about Shanahan. These are all team stats. This is play caller stats, supporting cast stats. But when you strip out catchable throw rate, pressure to sack, yak percentage, different hero throw rate, turnover worthy throw rate, shout out to the Fantasy Points data suite, this gives you a more accurate representation of what the quarterback is doing, removed from the supporting cast. And that's the whole thing. And that's why football is so much more difficult than baseball. It's so hard to remove. Everything is interconnected. And so that's what Brett's trying to get to here. So you can continue.
Yeah. So, I mean, just if we're going to cherry pick, like a Trevor Lawrence 7-game sample and say he's arrived and now he's a good quarterback. Well, why can't we do that for JJ McCarthy too? He's been just as good as Trevor Lawrence in that span. But more importantly, and
this is going to blow minds, by the way.
I'm not going to
just said this.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm not going to sit here and say McCarthy's been awesome either. I'm not going to lie to you, but I think the idea that we're going to judge this guy,
the perception at least is very off, and that's kind of how it always is in the NFL. Is
exactly though that people are sticking to their priors. JJ was scrutinized as a pick. I was one of the only analysts in the space that loved him, and people do not want to come off their priors. And
they're gonna accuse you of doing the same.
That's cool. I actually have tape analysis and data to back up my takes, though. They don't. So, also, it's 9 games, 9 starts, Scott. He's 5-4 as a starter.
With bad injury luck throughout.
bad injury luck. His offensive line has been beat to hell.
Yep.
He hasn't had the starting 5 that they set out to have this year, except for one game.
We've got some hot takes going. What about molten hot takes? He's also been let down by his receivers.
Totally. You want to get into the Jefferson thing? Jefferson looks like crap.
What is going on? It's crazy.
It's crazy. Separation.
You think he's dealing with a secret injury or something?
I think he's dealing with some negative DGAF.
Yeah.
I think he's irritated by the situation. The quarterback play hasn't been, because remember, Sam Darnold broke at the end of last year. Like completely, the Lions game is that week 18 against the Lions broke. Then he was awful in the playoffs. Then they start with JJ this year, and it was up and down for 2 games. Then they had Carson Wentz for like 7. Wentz was terrible in that 7-game stretch. I think he just completely checked out. There are plays on tape where you see what like an idea JJ has where he's trying to throw into space, and Jefferson's just like lollygags his route into the boundary, and that goes down as an uncatchable target for JJ. But at the same time, you're like, bro, go make a play. So many contested balls too just dropped, or we don't call them drops, but contested targets that don't come down as a catch, where it's a good throw that you're used to seeing Jefferson make those plays. Jordan Addison, also notoriously good on contested balls, has been awful. Jordan Addison's also dropped like 3 touchdowns this year.
I know. It's so weird.
Yeah, again,
but there are very glaring rookie mistakes that you're seeing JJ McCarthy make.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm not sitting here saying JJ's been awesome, but he has been so much better than the perception on him. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
I mean, Scott, within our own company, our own other analysts constantly mock him, and it's like, I beg you guys just to watch the tape. I beg you.
Refuse. Yeah. I'm thinking about Justin Jefferson. I'm a big cornerback guy. That's my favorite position by far. I hate wide receivers. I hate their diva personalities. If I had better genetics, I would have been a shutdown shadow cornerback. I just resonate with those guys. But I'm thinking about Justin Jefferson, 3 years ago, where he was asked to rank his top 10 quarterbacks, and he didn't have Kirk Cousins on the list. And like Kirk Cousins was asked about it and was like a little bit embarrassed and was like, oh, well, that's okay. He's still number 1 on my top 10 wide receivers list. You saw something with OBJ too, who like kind of threw Eli under the bus and then just, never had a good season again. But I wanted to ask you about one last quarterback before we move to, who we're picking for the Super Bowl. And again, Theo's going to be back next week. We're going to do fantasy playoffs, drafts. FFPC is doing a sick promotion. We're partnered up with them. Use promo code POINTS. We're going to do a way too early 2026 rankings or mock draft. Going to do lessons learned with Ryan Heath. One last quarterback. One you were dead right on, I think. Although now people are saying Tyler Shuck is far and away the best quarterback in this class, which I think is crazy. I think Jaxson Dart is. I hope he sucks this week. I hope he throws 10 interceptions because I want to make him my Exodia quarterback. Since his first start, if you throw out that Vikings game where they just like didn't try at all, I think he leads all quarterbacks in fantasy points per game, with like the best consistency too. Tell me about Jaxson Dart, and should he be my Exodia quarterback next year, regardless of price?
Let's see what the Giants do in the offseason first, but they need some help. They got to keep Wan'Dale Robinson around.
I can't believe. That was that one of our guys or just one of my guys coming out?
You liked him more than me for sure. Yeah. Credit to you. And I
saw the potential. Dude, he was a running back, switched to wide receiver, had like 1,500 yards with Will Levis and Liam Cohen. I was like, there's some upside there. It just took longer than I thought.
He's legitimately a good player, and he's a very good compliment to Malik Neighbors. Now all they need is like a legit wide receiver 3, or maybe a better tight end. But offensive line, though, is the big thing for them. They got to get better there.
Yeah.
So Dart,
it's been a thing for an issue. Evan Neal sucks.
Oh, dude,
oh my god.
Andrew
Thomas is great. He just needs to stay healthy.
Yeah, Thomas. I like the center. John Michael Schmidt. Runyon is pretty good. You fix the other 2 spots, you got something to work with there.
Yeah, I'm hoping miracle. They get the 101, trade down, get a haul, fix the O line.
Get the 101, take another defensive end. Yeah. So Jaxson Dart, man, like he's been every bit of kind of what I thought he would be.
It's so fun. There's like so much Baker Mayfield to his game.
Well, what's the one thing I touted the entire draft process that no one talked about with Dart? The running ability.
Bro, you comped him to like Lamar and like good Jalen Hurts. And like, I was like, what?
Jalen Hurts was my comp. Yeah. And people thought I was nuts.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It's not even the right skin color, Brett. Come on.
Yeah, sorry.
I couldn't see that if he came back from the Bahamas with a tan.
My dude had 50 explosive runs the last 2 years of college football. And no one talked about it like it was a thing. So weird. There was GPS data of him hitting 21 miles an hour. Like, this was a legitimately good athlete. So, yeah, I think the running stuff is there. The part that surprised me about Dart, though, is his mechanics have been pretty bad. The under center stuff, especially, like when he's in an under center offense, the footwork, it's kind of funny. He looks like a little jitterbug back there. Just he can't really get settled. It's not throwing from a set base. But when he does, and from shotgun looks, he looks awesome. Like the catchable ball rates bounce back. I think it's 76% on the year, which is pretty good for a rookie. The hero throw rates there though, and I think that's the two things I hang my hat on. It's like I knew he'd make big throws downfield, and I knew he could run the ball. So those high end traits are there for him. He just got to get a little bit more consistent, and he's got to stop taking hits. He has.
That's a big one. Here's a crazy stat for you: 11 starts. He went into the blue medical tent for a concussion check in 5 of them.
Oh, 5. 7.
He only has one career concussion dating back to like his entire life. But still.
Well, I wonder if Scatabo being on that team's bad for Dart because they kind of egg each other on. They're like tag team partners in the WWE. So fun, they're like
the Bash Brothers.
Yeah. It's like, hey, bro, I bet you can't break your face mask on the next play, Yeah. How many concussions do you think they concealed this year?
Oh, God.
Because, like, remember when Dable, like, pulled him out of the tent?
I know.
For it? Like, dude, like, he's probably sitting on 3 or 4. It's probably
hopefully just that one concussion.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, Dart's been impressive, I need to see more consistency. He's looked like a rookie, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I'm not shocked by that. Same with like JJ McCarthy. Like he's a rookie quarterback. He's got 9 starts. He looks like a rookie. But
this is how do we lead off this podcast? We're talking about Old Man River, right? And the value of experience. And then all the, Trevor Lawrence, it took him 70 starts, 3 different head coaches to turn things around.
Right.
All right. So who do you have winning the Super Bowl, and who do you think the best teams are in the NFL? Because I think these are 2 different questions. So I think I'll give you my answers, and I really want to hear your answers. Who do I think is most likely to win the Super Bowl? You're going to hate this. You're going to think this is idiotic. I think it's the Broncos.
Okay. Thank God. All right.
And I think this because they're 80% to lock up the first round bye and get home field advantage all throughout the playoffs. That is a massive advantage. That's one fewer, out. They, team they don't need to beat. They're just automatic advance to the next level. Then they get like a home field advantage is worth like 3 points on the spread. That's
for them. It's worth more because of where they play.
I was just going to say, yeah. And this is a team that where home field advantage matters more than just about anyone else in it. The AFC is really weak. We're looking at the Patriots, the Jaguars, the Steelers, the Texans, the Chargers. The Bills are the 7 seed. They're going to have to, travel on the road all throughout the playoffs. That's probably what I think is the best team in the AFC, but they're freaking 7 seed. And like, I don't think anyone has full faith in the Chargers without an offensive line, the Texans offense being so hit or miss, Aaron freaking Rodgers, Trevor Lawrence. And so AFC just so easy. I mean, it's just a much easier strength of schedule than the NFC, at least as I view it. And if I had to pick who the NFC team is, I think I would just go with the Seahawks, 55%.
Bro, they have Sam Darnold at quarterback.
You think he's Macaulay Culkin from Sixth Sense going to start seeing ghosts?
He's been seeing ghosts since like week 6. He's been awful.
Yeah.
Do you realize he's got 14 interceptions and 11 fumbles?
Yeah.
He's been legit.
You know what? You're right. All right, you're right.
I love Mike McDonald, and I love that defense, and I love JSN, and I would love to victory lap all those things because I predicted it. But
and I think teams figured out the Greg Olsen thing too, right? I have to look at the data to verify, but like they were exploiting this efficiency hack where they were lining up in heavy. Well, you can explain it better than I can. Yeah.
Well, yeah, just the biggest thing you can do as an offense is force a defense's hand and force favorable matchups. So when you play heavy 12 and 13 personnel, you give the defense an option. We can sit back and play 5 defensive backs and get the ball run down our throat, or we're going to match that with base defense, and then you're going to hit play action passes over the top. To start the year, everyone was playing them in base. They're getting a ton of 3 linebacker looks. They were getting, JSN one-on-one at will. They were getting tight end play action shots to Elijah Arroyo and AJ Barner over the middle at will. That's slowed down a little bit because teams are mixing in a little bit more nickel. Also, you just commit to stopping the run on them on early downs too, and that's going to help a lot. So, but yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to change my pick to it would be the 49ers if I think they could stay healthy, but they're just so cursed. So I'm going to go with the Eagles, who don't look like a great team, but then they just can also look so ugly dominant. And they have that experience. I could see them flipping a switch in the playoffs like the Chiefs have been doing for a number of years. Who are you picking?
All right. So in the AFC side of it, this is really tough. By the way, we should mention why Denver's home field matters more than everybody else's, because I don't know that the casual listener would know that. It's because of the elevation in which they play. So they play in Mile High Stadium. It's legitimately hard for players to adjust to the environment there. That's why their home record is pretty much good every year, by the way.
Yeah. So you can look at some of these teams that have where their point differential is so much better at home versus on the road and like different things like that. And that is something I found. Like I think the top teams by home field advantage are the Broncos for this reason, the Chiefs, I think crowd noise, the Seahawks crowd noise. Maybe it was also the Bills, perhaps, weather, Packers weather. But I love the UFC. I'm a big UFC fan. And whenever they play at elevation in Denver, Mexico City, Utah, you hear the fighters and like the post-fight come after. It was like, hey, listen, I trained for this. I flew out to Mexico City 2 weeks in advance. And like, I died. I was not ready for that. That was insane. But you get one of these fighters who like live in Mexico City year round, live in Utah year round, who like have the fight of their life, never look so good. That's a real thing. You have to, it just totally destroys your gas tank. And so that's something teams have to think about when they're not used to that. And they're coming out to Denver's. Maybe we use more substitutions than is necessary. Maybe that's something, I've complained about Sean Payton's gross wide receiver by committee. Maybe that's intentional by design to take advantage of that. Denver, by the way, I think the most analytics minded front office in the NFL. And I don't just say that because they keep drafting and, signing all of my former favorite prospects who aren't any good. I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that factors in. And so yeah, you're talking about a team 81% to get the bye. And with that coming home field advantage, I think that's pretty cool.
Another fun tidbit on the UFC thing: guys miss weight there a lot.
Oh, interesting.
Because you retain more water. So when you're planning on, you go into that Thursday, Friday stretch before weigh-ins, you plan, I got to lose 9 pounds of water weight. Well, it comes off differently in Denver. So
I actually flew into Mexico City for a wedding and I felt horrible. I had a Crohn's flare up, and apparently that's a thing that also happens when when you're at elevation.
Interesting. Fun sidebar. So Denver, my issue is Bo Nix just has not been great, and the AFC
big regression from last year.
Yeah, or just really more of the same. I think the highlight moments last year were a little better, but they're living on some serious one score variance right now. Scott, don't you, as an analytics guy, you have to worry about that, right? Like every game, like even against the Raiders, it came down to the final play of the game. Like they're living on some insane, like Vikings 2022 one-score variance type stuff here.
Yeah. What
dude,
was the Zane tweet? Zane had a killer tweet that went super viral. Let me pull it up here.
for that reason, though, I have a really hard time getting behind the Broncos, even though I did pick them to win the AFC at the beginning of the year. So I'm going to be right about that. It looks like.
Wow, you got to stick with that.
All right. I'll stick with Denver.
You can't move off that when you get that sort of confirmation bias.
If there's ever a year that Josh Allen should go get it done, it's this year. I know that's like the low-hanging fruit narrative, but it's true. I will say the Texans are a team I have no business wanting to play in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, no kidding.
That
defense wins championships, right?
Yeah. That defense is probably the best defense we've seen since the Peyton Manning Broncos that won the Super Bowl.
All right, listen to this. The Broncos almost lost to the 2-13 Giants, the 3-12 Jets, the 2-13 Raiders, the 4-12 Commanders, the Chris Oladukin Chiefs. Their combined margin of victory in those 5 games was 14 total points. That is one of the biggest, you are such a fraud stats I've ever seen.
It's like remember when the Vikings lost in the first round to Dable's Giants, the first year Dable was in It was the same thing. The Vikings that whole year were beating people on the last play of the game by 1 point. And
it was the best record versus point differential ever. It was something I remember tweeting about it at the time. But yeah, this is such a weird year. It's you don't really feel good about any of these teams.
Not on the AFC side.
We might be in an actual transition period away from the Mahomes dominance, away from the Bills dominance, because they have the best player in football, but they have the worst GM who, surrounded him with nothing. And we've talked about the importance of a supporting cast.
Sure.
And this is the segue period. Maybe it'll be marked by Shanahan and Purdy as the new dynasty. Maybe it'll be Ben Johnson's Bears.
No. We haven't done I haven't done the NFC yet, but AFC wise.
Sorry for stepping on your toes.
If Trevor Lawrence is legit and he's real, and Liam Cohen is who you think he is, why not the Jags? He has playoff experience. This isn't a completely inexperienced team. Why not the Jags? They have a chance to get the 2nd seed. That's important because they can host 2 playoff games.
Yeah.
I don't of all years to go in on a flyer, why not the Jags this year? I'm sticking with Denver, but I think the Jags are my dark horse. I think they have a legitimate shot to do this.
All right, I like it. They have that momentum too. They have a swagger that Liam Cohen's brought to the team.
They've really won 7 games in a row. They're playing. That's the thing. You talk to any NFL head coach. The goal of the season isn't necessarily even to win the most games. It's you want to play your best football in December and January. That's what they will always tell you. What's your goal for the season? They don't want to blow teams out 50-14 in week 1. We
were just talking about Denver home field advantage. They crushed Denver on the road.
Right. So are you trying to get me to flip now? Did you throw that out there to try to get me to flip? Because I'll freaking do it.
Look at us, Trevor Lawrence fans. All right, what about the NFC?
All right, NFC. I can't do Seahawks because the Sam Darnold thing. Although I love their team, I love their roster, I love the way they play football. It's my kind of football. I love it.
Yo, I'm gonna be so mad if they unleashed Ken Walker and they were just saving him for the playoffs.
Bro, Charbonnet looks good though.
Does he really?
Yeah, he looks good. Here's the thing.
Wow.
People have been clowning them for the Charbonnet Walker thing because Charbonnet doesn't hit explosive plays. Scott, Charbonnet's explosive run rates creeped up near Kenneth Walker's.
Wow.
I think it's 5% now on the season.
I think there was an injury there. Dude, I should have backed off of him because of it. Because that mystery
Is it Walker?
Yeah.
Mystery. Our guy Edwin told us to stay away from him.
I know. I ignored it.
You didn't let you and me didn't let. I have 17 dynasty shares of Kenneth Walker.
Listen, I knew JSN or Ken Walker would break leagues, and I just really thought it was Ken Walker.
Yeah. So, anyways, can't do Seahawks. I'm inclined to my favorite team because of quarterback play, defense is the Rams, but what are the Rams right now? They're gonna be the 5th seed. No, they'll be worse than that. The loser of the Seahawks 49ers game will be the 5th seed. So the Rams will be the 6th seed, which means they got to go on the road twice.
Well, who are the Seahawks playing? Because they could blow it and give the 49ers the
They
number
play
one seed.
the 49ers this week. That's the big game of the week.
Oh my God.
If the 49ers win, the 49ers are the 1 seed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So this leads me to everything we just talked about with Kyle Shanahan being the GOAT, overcoming.
Oh man.
Do we go?
Then we got to pick the 49ers then. How did I not know that you were playing this? Wow. Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, so that'd be Sam Darnold having to go on the road and they'd lose their first game. If the 49ers beat the Seahawks this week, the Seahawks will get bounced in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
But so officially, I think I love the Packers roster, but they're down Micah Parsons and Zach Tom. That doesn't help.
Yeah, but they got Malik Willis. They got that quarterback upgrade.
We should have talked about Malik Willis. Where's Malik Willis playing ball next year, and how much money is he making?
Yeah, you had a very high grade on him, so this is nice for you.
He was my QB1 in that class.
Wow.
Always been. Here's the thing, Scott. My takes are.
You're never wrong. You're just early.
Yeah, exactly. Never wrong, just early. Sometimes really early. In the case of Malik Willis, 4 years early. Yeah. But
you're like holding on to a stock that just kept going down and down and down, but you never sold it. Now it's.
Yeah. So I think I gotta go. If the Rams, I want to do Rams, but if they have the 6th seed and have to go on the road twice, although their home games aren't really home games because no one actually likes the Rams. Who did you pick for the NFC? You picked the Eagles?
Yeah, but I mean, I think 49ers win this game, get the number 1 seed, and that's just so massively advantaged. Right, I got to pull up these Super Bowl odds because I bet.
Let's go 49ers Broncos Super Bowl with a 49ers Jags dark horse.
Who wins that? 49ers. Wait, would that be a home game for the 49ers? Where is the it's Bay Area, right? Where is Super Bowl 2026? Santa Clara, California. Home of the San Francisco. This would be a home game Super Bowl for the 49ers.
Is Kyle gonna do it? Is he going to do it?
Dude, we're figuring this out live on stream. We're paying. What are the odds for a parlay? 49ers beat Broncos in the Super Bowl.
Oh man.
NFL Super Bowl odds.
How vindicated would Kyle Shanahan be after losing 2 Super Bowls previously?
Oh my God, he deserves it. He ran so bad with injuries in the last Chiefs Super Bowl. They're +9. They're +900. Listen to this. The Seahawks are the favorites. They're +550. Broncos are +750. That's stupid to me.
Yeah.
Seahawks +550, Rams +600, and then it's Broncos, then it's 49ers, then it's Eagles 950.
Yeah, I could definitely see the Rams doing it because Stafford is that good and that defense is going to support him pretty well. But oh boy, are we doing so? 49ers Broncos, I think, is going to be my call. I don't love it just because I think the 49ers are bad on defense, but why not, man? Kittle gets healthy.
Kittle needs to get healthy. Pearsall needs to get healthy.
Maybe Brandon Ayuk gets unkooky for Cocoa Puffs, and we. Yeah. I'm kidding. CMC.
All right, guys, don't forget this call out. Feel free to call us stupid when 49ers defense implodes in the playoffs.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, so who do you think the best teams are? Because that's a different conversation.
The best teams?
Yeah.
Like
who's the best team? And this is part of why I like the Broncos. Is just the path is so much easier. Like if you ask me to rank the top 5 best teams, I think 4 of them would be NFC teams for me. But I want to know who you would pick.
I think the Rams are awesome.
You think Rams are the best team in the NFL right now?
Yeah, I think
after what happened against the Falcons.
Yeah, they wet the bed down the stretch here a little bit. They've lost 3 of their last 5 games.
Yeah, come on. Where's your recency bias, Brett?
Right. I just look at the roster and the way it's constructed. I love it. Defensively, they're good. They should get Quentin Lake back here too, which is a big help. They hopefully get Rob Havenstein back too here, which would help.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, that's a big part of it. Is who are the healthiest teams? Jaguars, one of the healthiest teams this year. Chargers, one of the least healthy teams.
Yeah, Chargers, Bears, Packers, 49ers are super hurt. Like I said, the Seahawks team is awesome, dude. If they had if Darnold could just not be a weirdo for like a whole game, they can win any game. It's just really hard to get that out of him. You know what team we haven't talked about, and they're 13-3, is the New England Patriots.
Well, that might be my
just
second pick in the AFC. Just they have the MVP quarterback.
think
Yeah,
this
it's crazy the turnaround. The turnaround is so crazy.
Yeah.
Shout
I
out
think they're too
Dable.
young, man, to be honest. Go
Never
look
know.
at the Bills game from week 15. I think that's how a playoff game goes for them. In fact, there's a really good chance the Bills play the Patriots in the first round of the playoffs. So, Broncos are a really good team. I don't love them. It's funny, the best teams in the league need a little bit more at quarterback to me. If we get high level Knicks, I feel really good about the Broncos. Is Dobbins done, by the way? Is any chance he comes back, or was that a bad injury? I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well.
All right, there you have it. Give me the Super Bowl one more time and give me the score of that game.
Let's go Denver versus San Francisco in Santa Clara, California. I'm going to go trying to visualize it. I'm going to go 49ers 28, Broncos 24.
It's 49ers 33, Broncos 31.
Wow, love it.
Yeah, there you go. Well, thanks for listening to School of Scott. We still got some more goodness for you. Congrats on winning your championship. If you didn't win, we're going to win it in 2026. Let's go.